we now return to security.
You got this, Mac. No problem, guy.
And return to a second recording of this video because, goddammit, Discord, you find new ways to interfere with things.
We were spitting out gold. We were getting some of the funniest stuff that we've ever done in our lives, and you'll never hear it. So just imagine what that could have been.
Yeah, or at the very least, we'll just find ways to recreate that so it'll be the second funniest thing you've ever heard in your life. Such as, for instance, the fact that Vandelay was thinking about branching out into game development. Nothing could clearly go wrong about that.
Irony.
Ha ha.
It's funny because it's painful.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing that only ever could have been written by people that are actually in game development.
Yeah. Just what if we put the game in the game? It feels like that's too many walls being broken, and I, for one, am terrified. And
the funniest part about it all is that everything about the existence of Vandelay Game Studios comes to a full head in the big post-release update, the arcade update, as it was called. Because oh boy, that is some big, darkly humorous payoff that happens, my dude.
Because there was about a year or so after the game's release that they finally closed down, or was it less than that? I forget.
It was a bit over a year since the game's release that Microsoft shut them down the first time.
Yeah.
I say the first time because while I am grateful they get to live again, I am not putting it past Krafton that they might also shut them down at some point in the future.
Yeah, it's all very well and good to say, hey, we're supporting these guys as a prestige project, but money talks more than prestige.
Yeah, at least the money will talk more to them in probably about 5 to 10 years when it will start to matter to them more.
Yeah. Well, we hope.
Yeah. But at least until then, god damn it, give me that sequel. I'm ready. Especially with some of the ideas that they've been talking about. Like, there was actually because there have been some articles, interviews coming out with, I guess, one of the upper executives of Krafton kind of talking about the acquisition, their whole reasoning, and the fact that, yeah, kind of like what you described, they got them explicitly for the prestige. Their whole point starting out is that they're not getting Tango for the purpose of because their games sell well. It's because no, they're actually the kind of games they make are going to be a much necessary sort of diversification for all of the other things they own. These are the people that own PUBG. Yeah.
It leaves me in a very weird position, because on the one hand, it is an incredibly, what's the word I'm looking for? Self-serving kind of reason for doing it. Literally just we want all the awards and all the fans to be like, hey, these guys maybe aren't the soulless mega corporation we thought they were. But on the other hand, it gets us more games like this, so I'm kind of doing right for the wrong reasons, maybe?
Yeah, especially when, when people from Krafton, when they were in talks with Tango, basically outright said, oh yeah, when we went to Tango and saw what they were doing at the time they were closing, they actually had a prototype of the Hi-Fi Rush sequel that was at least 6 months into development, and was stuff that they were describing about it was. The wording on it from the article obviously made it sound like it was potentially something worse than it actually was, because they just used the terms open world, but I don't think that's actually what it was. It's more a more open, possibly interconnected and dynamic environment, which in my eyes, considering this is an action game in the style of PS2 action games of yore, I'm if that means that we get to go back to level design featured in DMC 1 and Ninja Gaiden Black, sign me the fuck up! Seriously, it would be a nice change from how everything about these are very linear, pretty long, but at least very pretty and long, video game levels as they were. Anyway, we found our final piece of graffiti, and the answer to the question that most people probably weren't asking up to this point: who the hell was drawing them?
I certainly was not.
No.
Yeah.
Do not confuse me, my unsensible brethren. I am the limited collector's
And
edition.
I have been left thinking for a good while whether to blame this particular this Pmidge model, Pmidge, as he calls himself.
Which is just the worst name.
No.
Yes, the absolute worst. And I don't know whether to blame that solely on, like, Macaron, considering he made Pmidge, or if this was, like, some, like, self-evolving derivative that just came out of it. But after, like, seeing some notes, specifically, like, the official product information for Pmidge, yeah, no, we're gonna need to have a talk, Macaron. Seriously.
Yeah. Like, when your fridge is offering you food based on the aesthetics, like, you're a fridge, but, you know, just, no, stop trying to be Andy Warhol.
Yeah.
Candy Warhol.
God damn it.
Yes! Finally one on the board.
Ugh. Man, it even threw off, like, my timing on a joke about how Pmidge probably believes in pseudoscience. Anyway, this is our final reward for finding all of the graffiti. Proper vandalism of the hideout.
Okay, I know I made the Andy Warhol joke, but Velvet Underground, anyone?
But this has nothing to do with us. Can't you draw a cool?
Yeah, good enough.
Something?
I mean, this game is all full of music. It's all about the rhythm.
But I don't want it.
It's as good a fit as any.
Man, what am I gonna tell Peppermint?
What if we just
I love the
don't and
idea
let her
from
find
this
out?
that, like, between these two, I think Peppermint has every right to be mad at both of them, but just for consistency and to save face, she probably would just put all the blame on Chai.
I don't know how, I don't know why, but somehow this is your fault.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the main game just to get through the last couple of streamer mode songs that aren't boss fights. And I will say...
Oh, that is so weird.
Yeah, it is weird, and yet for whatever reason, this is like the one streamer mode song that I'd be most willing to listen to under any circumstance, just because, again, we know how Invaders Must Die goes. It's not really a lyric-heavy song.
It's so close, but not quite.
Yeah,
Weird
which,
mirror
again,
universe.
is very much the same thing that I feel whenever I listen to, like, the replacements for 1 Million and The Perfect Drug. It's like, I just can't. Like, I get the argument about, you know, the lyrics in a lot of the songs, like making it fit more, but like, I really don't think it, like, for how, like, music focused this is, and the fact that songs aren't just lyrics, you know, especially when there's plenty of songs that are like strictly instrumental in style, that it has to be everything else about them that makes them work and be like a thematic fit. Like, it's not lyrics, it has to be the you know, like the genre, the beat, like the rhythm, everything about it, like,
if the vibes
just
are
as
off,
important.
then it doesn't work.
Yeah, which is where like so much of streamer mode like falls apart for me, as someone that has already listened to like these songs in their original form, either for the first time in this game as part of their context, or in some cases, like, again, 9 Inch Nails and Prodigy, the fact that I have heard them elsewhere. And, like, even with the previous association of them just being regular songs that exist for themselves, they fit, like, the context that they are given in this game. It doesn't really matter if the lyrics aren't a perfect match. It's just one part of the greater whole.
Yeah. It still feels wrong, though. It's like, have you ever woken up half asleep? Because you need, like, your phone's gone off and you need to be somewhere all of a sudden, like, now. And you're not really paying attention, you just go to put your shoes on and you put one of your shoes on the wrong foot.
Yeah.
Feels like that.
Yeah, well, again, music Uncanny Valley, and it's the sort of thing where, again, as the principle of Uncanny Valley states, like, the closer you get, like, into the actual valley itself without crossing it, that's where it becomes, like, the most disorienting.
Yeah.
You know? Like, the ideal is that you want to actually be past it, which is a near impossibility in all forms of art, or, ideally, you want to stop just before it actually starts to dip into, like, the valley itself.
Yeah. Skirt the line and go further.
Yeah, whereas this, there's kind of no two ways about it, even if there are things about it. Like, even though I like this song in particular, which by the way, the name of it, as you might see, is Intruder.
Yep.
Because that's what we're doing. But at the same time, Invaders Must Die already worked to begin with because we were invading the main headquarters.
And
it's
yeah,
fine.
It's...
but
I
it's
fully
musically
understand
easier for.
why
Yeah.
it was done,
Yeah.
but it still just feels incorrect.
Yeah, it's incorrect, but again, I'll at least take an incorrect song like this as long as I don't have to hear like the lyrics that just feel so off on like a, on a structural level.
Yeah.
Because even if the words match with what the context is, it doesn't change the fact that it has to line up with like the individual like notes that those licensed songs lyrics had to be like tied to begin with.
Yeah. I think the other thing as well is that I don't know whether it's been sampled or whether they're just using original instruments or what, but it's too on the nose.
Yeah.
If they'd done it in this style but using, different samples or instruments or whatever, that would probably lessen the effect of it. But
I could see that considering
so slavish a copy, it just feels wrong.
Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I totally agree with what you say, even though I acknowledge full well that this is like the most listenable of the streamer mode songs to me.
It's a decent piece of music in and of itself. And if I hadn't heard Invaders Must Die, I'd probably enjoy it a lot more. But it's just, it feels like a half measure because, well, that's what it is.
I think the only other song that is like this that would be like second most listenable to me is, unsurprisingly, the one that plays during Roqueford's fights. Because as we've established, Wolfgang's Fifth Symphony is like obviously like sampling a lot of like classical music and arranging it in a way that it is its own original piece. Like it was something that like a separate artist totally made. So they do something similar, and because it's another primarily instrumental focused song, that makes it a lot easier for me to like not feel taken out of because I don't have to listen to words that are just not right.
Yeah. As I said, the fact that they did change it feels a little silly. Piece of classical music. Okay, the individual recording might be considered to be under copyright, but there's plenty of copyright-free versions.
Yeah, but I mean, even then, it's like, I mean, it makes enough sense for like Wolfgang's Fifth Symphony that is like, that it is like Wolfgang Gartner is the artist. That's not the like he's done plenty of things like that, and it is already in like a genre and a style of music that is all built around like heavy sampling of existing like types of audio.
Yeah.
But at least one thing that could be said with like a lot of like the streamer mode songs is that some of them especially, not really that have been shown yet. There's like one boss track specifically that feels like it is kind of like a sort of a nod to like the name of the actual licensed version. Like you saw it was kind of there with the replacement for Inazawa Chainsaw, the fact they just called it Buzzsaw. But Rekka's Fight actually has its streamer mode song. The title is meant to be like just a complete opposite of like the words of like the title of Free Radicals. What is the hard opposite of Free Radicals? Captive Normals.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the sort of thing where like I look at those examples and I'm like, it's actually, I think I would be a bit more respecting of the streamer mode songs if they all stuck to that as the core theme. Like if it was all just some manner of like, if it was consistent about being like either like opposite day versions of the names or just like very convenient like synonyms, like the same way that there had to be the legally distinct versions of JoJo stand names whenever it gets officially localized.
Filthy acts for a fair and reasonable price.
Dan of Steel.
Maryland Mansion.
Soggy Biscuit. I forget if that was actually real, but...
Flaccid Pancake, thank you.
Flaccid Pancake, that's what it was. Okay, yeah. Right.
Which, I'm sorry, better than the original.
Yeah. I still find it funny more than anything, just the idea that Araki would have been aware of Limp Bizkit as a thing that exists at the time of Part 6. That is like, I'm not even convinced, like, well, I don't know. Maybe he could have listened to it, and like, and the fact that they were just that they're just a shitty musical act was lost on him just because it's not his primary language.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, as well, is that if I remember correctly, Part 6 is meant to be set in the early 2000s, so they were like perfectly
Yeah.
relevant as a band for that time period.
Yeah, well, it was always like, what, near future for them? Like, Part 6 was, like, publication in, like, late 90s, early 2000s. So, yeah, it would have made sense that it would be, like, in 2000s. I mean, it had to have been far enough in the future for Jolene to spoil everyone the twist about the Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
What the fuck is this bullshit? If there's no Mickey, this shit ain't Disney.
I need to get around to
Quotes that live rent-free in my head.
I've never actually, like, all the scans for Part 6 have never been particularly good, so I've never gotten around to finishing it, and I got about halfway through the Netflix adaptation, and then they were like, cool, we're doing the next part, like, 8 months from now, and I was like, oh, okay, so I'll catch up on that never.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like if you're like going with like that kind of like insanely long like schedule for a piece of work, you might as well like ascribe to binging it, which defeats the whole point of like, it's like, oh, if you give everyone enough time, they'll have reason to like watch the new episode when it comes out. And it's like, nah, I'd still rather like follow like the weekly tokusatsu series or something that's going on for that year. At least that's consistent.
Like, if I know that it's coming out, then I can be like, oh, okay, well then this time next year the series will be finished and I can watch it. Whereas if they're doing like chunks of 8 to 12 episodes every possibly 6 to 8 months, then I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna forget that this is a thing. Maybe someone will remind me a year from now, but that's not likely.
Like, it's web content specifically, but it reminds me how much that it was like I had been like off and on trying to follow Freeman's mind until it actually finished.
Yeah.
But anyway, we get to relive Cinnamon's finest hour with everyone's alternate costumes. And kind of showing that, yeah, I am actually missing some of these buttons, but as you'll find, it doesn't really matter as far as actually beating it, as far as I know. I would not be surprised if, like, the only fail state that exists is if you are just not pressing the buttons whatsoever.
Yeah, it gets too close and then flattens you.
Yeah, but at least here, one thing that is an unfortunate aspect of the alternate costumes in Cinnamon's case, his defining character gimmick of drawing expressions does not come through because, like, the model change gets in the way of, like, it basically covers up his, like, regular face, so you can't see his expressions.
Yeah, I noticed that with the Team Power Walk at the beginning.
Yep. But oh well. You did good, Cinnamon. Let's hope you get more moments like this in the sequel. Good times.
Good times with guns.
And that's it. We actually skipped ahead as well. Like that Wall of Fame goal that you saw complete, that was me completing every chapter on Rhythm Master. Not with S ranks, admittedly, because again, I didn't need to care as much about doing that for this particular file that I'm using for the Let's Play. My main file has already gotten that. It is as 100% complete as can be. So yeah, like look at that. Like more and more of stuff on the Wall of Fame just getting filled in. All the different enemies that we fought, some of which are like, you know, you saw some of the like the very fancy boy units with like the gun arms and stuff, you know, like Mimosa's personal assistants with like armaments that we never actually got to fight like that, funny enough.
Still missing a few bits.
Still a few bits, yeah, but we'll have more stuff to go through in the post game. We can and because we got like even more Broken Armstrong chips at this point, we can obviously grab some more things. I mean, look at how many gears we have. We have like 467k as it is, and like and counting down, obviously. Like we could spend so much more if we want. But why you spend them on chips right now when we can just go to the store to buy some costumes? So yes, there's a lot.
Oh boy.
A lot of hairstyles, a lot of shirts, a lot of jackets. You can buy the individual items in like full costume sets, including a superhero costume, which is actually one of my personal favorites. As well as Left Shark.
This is like No More Heroes 1 levels of customization.
Yes.
Just with the amount
it
that you can
absolutely
get.
is. Yeah. Yeah, I do love the idea that like Chai would have his own superhero outfit.
Of course he is. He is the great Saiyaman in all but name.
Yeah, and like all the different customization items you get, all the way down to different guitars. It's great. That said, though, even with all the stuff that we got, we could spend so much more money, you know, like even more costumes for the rest of our cast. And I'll get a big old cat onesie for Peppermint if you want. If she wants to chill out, this is her hangout spot just as much as it is Chai's. She deserves to cut loose, you know. Yeah, there's some wild ones for Macaron as well, like the heavy metal one.
Yeah, looking like Gene Simmons.
Cinnamon obviously has some of the most goofy ones, like the hot dog and the chicken outfits. But Corsica, as I said, she still gets the best ones. That suit and that hairstyle, fucking banger.
Classy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So let's switch over. Let's give them a bit of a makeover, even though they're not going to be showing up too much more in the in a lot of these videos. I mean, when we summon them into combat, they absolutely will be.
Yeah. Not much in the way of cutscenes, though.
Yeah. Just admiring the rest of our collection. You know, we got all the graffiti pieces. You know, we got that missing Vandalay log that was in the middle of this list that I pointed out tons of videos ago that it was missing.
Yep.
There's still 6 at the end that are not filled in, and that's got to be... It's weird because we've gone through all of the others, all the previous stages up to this point. I went through them and showed the relevant new things. Clearly, like, we couldn't be missing anything else.
I genuinely can't see where they could be. We've done the backtracking. We've filled out almost everything. It is a mystery.
Oh well, I guess I am technically missing a few things, but nothing related to like those vlogs or.
Spectra signals. They're appearing all over the Vandalay campus.
But I thought we shut it down.
Could be some sort of backup plan?
It's Kale. Wouldn't put anything past that bugger.
If only we had someone up to the task of checking those hotspots out.
Who are you implying?
You, Mr. Chai. I was implying you.
You up for another round?
Oh, that's what we were missing.
Oh.
How dumb. We all pulled a collective Chai.
Dope.
We'll fix that next time.